guys, I'm Samantha and I am here to do my November reading wrap-up. I have been thinking about how I'm wanting to do my wrap-ups for 2024. So, November, and I might do one in December, I'm not entirely too sure. So this year might be the last time I'm doing them in this specific style. I am thinking about in the new year of just talking about my top rated books of the year, and then possibly my lowest rated books, or not of the year, of the month, like my faves, or just talking about like my faves my favorites of the month, because sometimes I read, like as we've seen, 20 plus books, and I really don't want to be sitting here talking for 30 plus minutes about different books and having to edit all that down. And to me, just for me personally, wrap-ups like that have been kind of starting to fall stale, at least like on my channel anyways. I don't find I do the best job explaining what types of books these are, giving a proper description of them. So I'm going to try to do something new in the new year. If that is doing it quarterly instead of every month, or doing like the monthly favorites and stuff like that, we will see what I come up with. If you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments below and I'll take it into consideration. But I'm really looking to kind of do something new in the new year and not have to keep doing the same old things. But let me actually get into talking about November's books. I'll go over my stats really quick and then we'll get into the books. My stats for November: I read 9 books, approximately 2,332 pages read, 4 hours listened to, 1 was a reread, 3 series started, and 2 were diverse reads. The sources: audiobook 1, ebook 7, physical 1, format: graphic novel 2, novel 6, novella 1. The audience: adult 6, YA 3. Genres: contemporary 2, fantasy 1, 1 literary fiction, nonfiction 3, sci-fi 1, retellings 1. So those are just kind of like a brief glimpse of what my stats were for the month. I'm going to hop into the books. Most of these I have either listened to it on audiobook or read them as an ebook, so I don't have physical copies of these except for like only one book. But of the ebook versions, I'll just have a copy of the cover on the screen. The first book being What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. I gave this 4.5 stars. I read it for the Reading by Candlelight pick for October. Read it for Nightmare Before Christmas readathon, Witchathon, and Mood Read for Tarot TBR. And I really enjoyed this book. This is a retelling of Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe, but I felt like it was done actually better than the source material. I really enjoyed it, and if I can remember, I'll leave the link to the discussion live down below. I highly recommend it, but I just felt like it needed to be a little bit longer, hence why I didn't get 5 stars. But I highly do recommend this. It's very lyrical writing, really descriptive. It really paints a good picture of what's going on with the settings and the gore that happens into it, and like definite trigger warnings for like animal cruelty and gore, things like that. And body horror a little bit as well, so beware when you go into that. What Moves the Dead, I listened to it as an audiobook. I almost forgot to mention that. The audiobook was done really well. Now 2, Charmed: 1,000 Deaths, Volume 1 by Erica Schultz. I gave this 3.5 stars. It was a mood read for Tarot TBR. Read it for Witchathon and the Nightmare Before Christmas readathon, and I really enjoyed this. I I really enjoyed this. I had seen episodes of Charmed in the past. It was a TV show that my mom had read when I was, or no, read, had watched when I was growing up. So I've seen bits and pieces of the shows. And this is a time during, like, I'm guessing like the later half of the series when Paige is involved. I really enjoyed it. I definitely can see myself continuing on with this series just to see how it goes. Then book 3, Paper Girls, The Complete Story by Brian K. Vaughan. Gave it 4 stars and read it for Witchathon. This was an omnibus bind up, like ebook bind up that had obviously all the volumes in it. I've read, I think, volumes like 1 through 5 or something like that in the past, and for some reason just kind of like stopped reading it. But I finally finished this series off. I thought it was pretty interesting. It is a graphic novel series that follows a group of paper girls who are out on a delivery in the 80s when they get into kind of a situation that they find it hard to get out of that involves a lot of time traveling and things like that. So it's a pretty interesting series if you're into sci-fi, like time travel, space travel, stuff like that. I recommend checking it out. 4, These Witches Don't Burn by Isabel Starling. I gave it 4.5 stars. Read this for the So Mote It Be book club pick for September's pick. And I really enjoy this. This is a YA duology, sort of a YA duology that follows a teen girl as she is trying to solve what is going on in her city, along with trying to kind of survive being hunted down by witch hunters. And this was the first YA novel that I've actually really enjoyed in the longest time since I was probably a teenager, to be honest. So I highly recommend it. I will also link the discussion live that me and Alicia had for this and book 2 in the description box below. I highly recommend checking out if you're interested in it. Book 5, Make Your Own Beauty Products by Charmaine Yabsley. Gave it this 3.5 stars. I read this for Nonfiction November, and it's also a Nightmare Before Christmas readathon pick. I got this as a NetGalley ARC a couple of years ago that I finally got around to reviewing it, and I do find this as a good resource for certain like recipes to kind of replace some skincare products in my current lineup, or just using it as a good reference. However, the NetGalley ARC itself, like for nonfiction NetGalley ARCs, the formatting of it is really sometimes can be really hard to read because it seems like things get jumbled a lot. So it got a kind of a lower score because of that. But I think if I had the physical copy of it, it may work out a little bit better for me, so I give it the benefit of the doubt for that. 6, This Coven Won't Break by Isabel Starling. Read this also for Nightmare Before Christmas readathon, and it's the October pick for So Mote It Be book club. Gave it 4 stars. I had enjoyed it. This is the second in the duology of the These Witches Don't Burn. I enjoyed it. I was a little disappointed in the tone shift in some of the characters, like the different kind of like personality switches that they end up making. It really kind of threw me off at the beginning, but I do overall recommend the series. It gives a good kind of mixture of the different types of witchcrafts or the different types of magics in the world, along with throwing in actual real Wiccan witchcraft. Then we have Donor Boy by Brandon Haplin. I gave this 3.5 stars. I read it for Tarot TBR. This is about, it's told in email format it follows a teenage girl who has to move in with her biological father, who is a sperm donor when her mothers were killed in a car accident, and it just follows her progression of dealing with the grief of losing both of her mothers, along with having to learn and kind of adapt to being in a new environment and just becoming acquainted with this father that she never really thought about until she was forced into this situation. I really found it very compelling. Even though I gave it 3.5 stars, I did really enjoy it. After a while, the teenager did really read teenager to me, but I felt like even though she was really annoying, so it, like just her character arc, just in general, I felt like it really hit the nail on the head of how teenagers are, especially during a like really heavy grief-stricken way. I think it was just hit the nail too hard on the head where it just got a little annoying for me. But overall, it's a really good story. I highly recommend it. This is a reread for me. I read it like almost 10 years ago, so I couldn't really remember much about the story itself, but I do highly recommend it if you're interested in this type of story. 8, I have read The Tree Horoscope, Discover Your Birth Tree and Personal Destiny by Daniela Kristen Huber. Gave this 3 stars. Read it for Cabin Mixtape Readathon and Nonfiction Readathon. This just goes over about I believe it's a Celtic horoscope way that just involves different types of trees. It's really hard to explain, but it's a really good resource if you're into learning more about Celtic mythology and astrology and things like that. And last, I read Candle Magic for Beginners, Spells for Prosperity, Love, Abundance, and More by Mystic Dylan. I gave it 4 stars, and this was the Somona Bee pick for November. This is a really good beginner resource for those of us who are interested in doing more candle spell work. It goes over the basics of the different types of candles you can use, what you can use them for, when color comes in play, and all that those things. And it also gives you some good like starter spells that you can do if you are just not like dipping your toes in. So I highly recommend it, and we also did a discussion of that just this past weekend, so we'll try to leave a link to that discussion down below. But yeah, those are the 9 books that I read for November. Let me know in the comments below if you read any of these books and what your thoughts were of it. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to keep up to date with any new videos I come out with in the future. And until then, you guys.